Building games, you know them, you love them, and Hometopia definitely seems like the game that might possibly work to topple The Sims, coming soon to Steam with other games like Paralives, and of course, inspired by games like House Flipper, Hometopia is going to be a game where you can build and sell your very own homes in the style of The Sims. Well, let's go ahead and jump in then as we load some awesome stuff here. Thanks again, guys, for subscribing and hanging out and smashing that like button. Incredibly important, too, by the way, as we're almost to 1 million subscribers. Welcome to Hometopia. This is an early beta, aka demo, for the sandbox version of the game that is available now on Steam. So just search for Hometopia. You should be able to download it now and give it a try for the next few days on Steam. Now, as I mentioned, The Sims 4 and more preferably The Sims 3 were fantastic building games, are fantastic building games for building lovely modern homes and homes of all different styles and shapes for all sorts of different people. And this game, of course, is kind of the same, where similar to House Flipper, where you're preparing to build a home in first person to sell it to a market or to rent it out or to renovate it and then, you know, give it back to somebody. This game seems to be the same. There's been a lot of great building games recently, especially on the channel with the Tenants and the Sims, and now soon Paralives and this game, Hometopia, all seem to be really fantastic builders. Let's jump into this one and see what it'll have. Of course, a career mode, buy, renovate, and flip homes. But hold on a second, a sandbox mode, wait a second, with online play. You can play with friends. It is a multiplayer game confirmed. Now, if The Sims had that, that'd be incredible to build next to a friend or whatnot and maybe have build-offs or just see them live their lives as you do your own thing would be incredible. But here you can work with people then to decorate different types of rooms and give everybody their own space in order to renovate it and sell it for money. Well, in this current build mode, we'll only be able to build freely without restriction, which ain't a bad thing, as there's tons of things in the game like cars and the ability to build lofts and large bathrooms and, of course, driveways and such. So you can build yourself a literal mansion. If we go to the build mode here, you'll see that we started a little bit of a house, a shell template, a standard house shell that we'll build in here today, and also a modern home shell that you can build into. Two of these that are kind of prefab that you can load and then toy around with. They're empty shells, as it implies. And then, of course, you can change the outside color, siding. You can build beautiful gardens, hedge mazes, fountains, whatever you'd like. You name it, you can probably do it here in Hometopia. Let's go ahead and start a new game and see what it's all about as we take our first look at the demo. Again, thanks, guys, for all the support, and let's try it out and see how it goes. Well, a couple of features that I love right off the bat is the ability to actually go into first-person mode by just pressing F, and we can look around the house and take a look inside and even open the garage door from the outside or the inside, too. That's pretty cool to be able to see on the inside. We can even jump, too, so we can get right inside the house. And there you go, your empty shelf. So we can go ahead and make ourselves a lovely little house here with a kitchen and bedrooms and whatnot. That's pretty cool. But unfortunately, no neighborhoods. Obviously, that's missing. Love to see a big road coming here and some schools and whatnot nearby, especially if this is going to be the type of game where we build and sell homes or have some sort of interaction with people who will live here. It'd be kind of cool to have different amenities nearby and things that would either increase the house price or decrease it or whatnot based on all the factors of the neighborhood around it. Well, it looks really nice here on the inside and the outside, and of course it's an empty shell where we can then add siding and whatnot. And check this out, we've got the ability to build half walls and foundations, ceiling tiles, and even balconies and stairs and steps. There's a lot of options here, all the things that you'd expect in The Sims, and of course sorted by rooms too. So closets, wow, we can even do closet spaces, wonderful. Game rooms, laundry rooms, decor, miscellaneous, and neighborhoods. But even cooler than that is just the ability in the default game to, wow, buy a house for thousands of dollars, but a car for just a couple of thousand, like a red sports car that we can plop right down into the, yeah, we can even paint it too if we want to. Check that out. Now we own a sports car, and if we want, we can paint things, so we can try to change the color wheel to like slick black, and we can paint this car too. Let's go ahead and open that up. Oh, actually, check that out. We can paint the garage door too, and even the car. Yeah, everything can be painted and modified. We can paint the door black and even the trim, so it's really neat. So lots of detailing here. But I think the best way to showcase this game will be to go into a little bit of a build mode and explain what's going on. Go into a speed build mode, try to build something neat in the limited time that we have. But again, I'll be live streaming this game today as well, so if you haven't already subscribed and turned on the notification bell, make sure you check the channel for a more in-depth look at all the features. There's a lot of stuff to go over here, and it'll be cool to cover it over the next few days. As, again, this will be free for a demo for a little while till its full release, hopefully sometime this year. Let's go. Okay, so the goal now is to try to add a few more things to the house to make it seem a little bit more interesting. We're going to get rid of the garage, we're going to add a greenhouse, a loft, and some other decorations to the outside and inside of the house to make it a little more interesting. We'll also furnish most of the house, well, some of the house with the most important area, the kitchen in my opinion. But this makes a lot of good floor space inside and outside for bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room, and of course the greenhouse. Now, upon looking at a few other things here in the game, this is, by the way, a footage of me just, doing this kind of behind the scenes while I do some recording post audio. So basically coming up with some ideas here to make the house a little more unique and toying around with some of the building tools in the game. It feels a lot, and I'll mention this later, like perhaps Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster, where it's a little bit more free in terms of how you build things. And I'm really hoping that this mode here is like some sort of a blueprint building mode where we can build our own homes and then import them into a neighborhood afterwards. Now, I've seen a few of the trailers for this game, and I still have more questions than answers, but again, I like the fact that this is a little bit more free in what we can build, but I do want to see characters being able to interact with this rather than it just being, the house being scored on its amenities or number of rooms and square footage and whatnot, and just kind of doing it to make money. But it does also seem like a good idea to do this with friends. So that way you could possibly build a home where everybody gets to customize their own room, and you have to make decisions to build a common room too. I've also seen the ability to do neighborhood level items in the game, so we can also build roads and possibly build like a park nearby, some public spaces to make it, again, much more interesting. For example, the house to be built next to a park rather than it just being built on what seems to be like a blank lot in the middle of nowhere. So we have ourselves a greenhouse going up. We're going to put some windows on the walls, and it's interesting because when we go inside the house, you'll notice that, yeah, the windows are actually like one-sided. We can't actually see outside the house unless we add some to the inside. So I guess some of these windows have to be inside and outside to count as an exterior window, but then windows on the inside of the house into another room just count as like an interior window that shines into another room, which is strange, but in this sense it makes sense because we'll put a sliding glass door to go into the greenhouse, and then eventually we'll make a door out of the greenhouse, probably to go out into a garden near a shed or something like that. Great options in this game for a lot of different building materials on the outside in terms of like siding and whatnot. In comparison with The Sims, of course, that's a game that's been around for quite some time now, meaning The Sims 4, and of course all the packs and all the extra updates and such to that game for different types of siding and colors and textures and whatnot. So this game is quite comparative for just being an incomplete demo. I'm going to go ahead and decide against putting any windows here until we have some kitchen cabinets in, but it is nice to know that we can actually adjust the size of some of those kitchen cabinets, making them larger and smaller, though you can't do that with the windows. I would prefer that. Some of these windows here could be a little bigger and would provide a little bit more light. But of course we're not going to be able to adjust them, so we're going to try to make some windows on the top floor. The idea here too would maybe be to build a balcony on the second floor near the loft and go out onto what could be a patio on top of the greenhouse. I did try to look for options to make the greenhouse have a glass ceiling or some sort of area for the sun to shine through. So for right now, I guess it's a sunroom. A lot of good options too for patios. But I want there to, it seems more about placing down objects. I'd like it to be a little bit more free build, but that's something that I think that could come in time. That's not too big of a deal for me, just being able to make a patio by putting out a foundation and then building on it as an exterior room rather than like an interior room. It's convincing. It makes sense. A lot of options here for stairs, a lot of options for railing and banisters and pillars. And this it makes me really enjoy The Sims a little bit more in terms of the options to build roofs and such. This is a little bit better, I think, in terms of its free build and coloring and design, as it's not just about texture. The textures are good. Coloring could be different though too. But again, it's hard to compare against something that's been around as much. But again, this is good for competition. And for a damn good free demo, this is pretty good to be able to experiment with design and such in this game and do a little comparison to the other games coming out soon too. But it's nice to be able to see all these different materials and items being put together. And of course, there's also things under furnishing. Lack of cabinets at the moment. Scratch that, a lack of countertops from what I've seen, but plenty of cabinets. So, we can build, like, for example, a kitchen sink and countertops, but not really many options for it, as I would prefer to see a little bit more in terms of the options for the kitchen. But there's still plenty of things for the bedrooms and for the bathrooms. And I do like how the game separates everything in the furnish menu. For example, bathrooms have quite a few different items, sinks and bathtubs, and also showers and whatnot. And I like how it does it under the furnish tab. It shows you the full room, and then as there's kind of less items, you can filter within that tab. So you can see there where everything's separated by outdoor, indoor. And there's our road tab. We're going to try to build a road here, but it's too close to the edge. We're not able to build out. But it does show that we could at least build an outdoor asphalt area. So if we wanted to build like a basketball court in the back, or maybe do something where we do parking behind the house or on the side of the house, we can definitely have like a large road or something in front of our house to park the cars. And of course, cars are in the game, so that could definitely be something that maybe could be earned in the future if there's a campaign mode to unlock additional things and purchase them for your home. That would be definitely really cool. We even have garbage cans here too, so we can do a recycling and a garbage can out front, and possibly have somebody come and pick that up. It'd be really cool if all those things were accessible. I would love to see some more details in these games too, like, for example, meters for natural gas or for electricity, and you know, maybe power lines and stuff coming into the house as well, but super minor in comparison to how important it is to have a bunch of different materials to build with. Now, when I build a home in these games, I've been kind of leaning towards building things with brick or stone, and then going with siding or some sort of synthetic material to go around the rest of the house. Now, typically I would be building bricks in a smaller area meant for the living room, but again, we're just building in a shell here that's already been provided by the developers. And a cool thing that I like is the gutter system too. I did not get a chance to do anything with the roofs, but it would be nice to be able to actually adjust that ourselves and do spouts and ways to basically filter out the rain and have that be a factor in the game too. But again, this is kind of more about just design at the moment, at least, and more focused on the actual home building, more like CAD, but it feels a lot more like The Sims. It looks like it too, and also looks a lot like maybe a top-down version of House Flipper. A lot of games are starting to get that power wash simulator type look, or lawnmower simulator type look, or House Flipper type look. It's good. It's really going somewhere between reality and kind of like game graphics. So it's almost convincing at times to be a little bit more than what it actually is. It's quite good. It's quite good. So we're doing some paneling here. I think I'm going to decide on other siding. Right now this is wood, which I think clapboard, but eventually we'll go with some sort of a synthetic siding in comparison to what the other side of the house looks like with all the sun. And we're just kind of adding some more siding around the windows. We'll put some more windows down at the bottom, and we'll put some railing down where the drywall is. Another thing that I've learned in this game too is that drywall can actually be painted, which is a really interesting option. You actually have to put down a primer coat first in textures, and then you can color the primer coat later. Otherwise it looks like a transparent layer added on top of drywall, which is weird. But if you wanted to paint drywall red without a primer coat, which I don't know why you would ever do that, but you can definitely do that, I guess, if you want to go for a insane look or something like that, you definitely can. A lot of options here for textures too, trying to find the ones that I like the most for an exterior wall leading into the greenhouse to try to protect against some of that, what would likely be heat and maybe humidity from the plants and the gardening going on there. So yeah, we'll add some more windows here too, and toy around with a few more textures for the structures, including the foundation. And a lack of lighting from what I saw. I tried to look around for some lights, like for example on the outside of the house, maybe one to put above the door, or some lights to put into the ceiling in the loft area just above the walkway into the house, but I didn't see anything like that. But again, it's hard to judge a game that's just a demo of a game that's not out yet, but I'm hoping that there's some more potential for items like that, so that way again we can get into some much bigger territory for bedrooms and large entertainment rooms and game rooms and things like that. It seems like the game even has some of those items too. And I'm really surprised at how big this house looks. And it would definitely be a big size for The Sims. but it's very small in comparison. When we go into the first-person mode, we can actually walk inside the house and go upstairs and such, and you realize quickly how large this looks on the outside, but I have not done a very good job of maximizing the use of all the space as well. But keeping this much more wide open at least allows for a lot of natural light, and with the lack of lighting that I did not find at the moment, it's nice to be able to see inside. Of course, there seems to be a day-night cycle. There seems to be a way to turn that on and off, so if you want to, you know, turn it to nighttime and check out nighttime lighting, so that way everything looks good in comparison to daytime, you know, mix of natural light and some artificial lighting. Well, there you go. We got options to build bars. We've got options to put down what looks to be, yeah, all sorts of different types of sinks and countertops and whatnot. There we have a little bit of a countertop. Not too many options, but definitely better than what I've seen in some other demos and games lately, so it's good to see a couple of granite countertops. Very simple things. A look for rustic kitchen, a look for more contemporary and modern kitchens. Here we have our little like farmhouse thing. I swear I thought some of these assets were taken directly from The Sims, but some of these I can remember from some other games that we've played where you can build some prefabricated homes where it looks like they've actually used those assets in the inside of the construction of another house that's a placeable. So I'm definitely seeing some more items here. But again, these are more independent developers, so they don't have access to these massive budgets in order to create their own in-house things or to be inspired by something else. A lot of these have to be acquired from other sources, but at least they're giving us tools for our very own playground. Essentially, a lot of these games, city builders and games like The Sims, for example, are really just a large toolbox and also a sandbox to play in, as with games like, for example, maybe House Flipper is a little bit more like a campaign, or Power Wash Simulator, because those are games that give you objectives in order to get money to unlock new things to build and toy around with. Same with, like, for example, the Tenants. A lot of those games are about design, but they also allow you to do a lot of upgrading, so that way you can use that to kind of go down an RPG system of upgrades and such. But in The Sims, it's the same way too, but that's just your way to make money to then add to the house, as where in this case it could be the other way around, where the item, the most important thing is the house, and the people are just there to buy it. So the house could be graded for its ability to number of bathrooms, square footage, maybe where the lot is, location. And I'd love to see a game like that as well, where you can buy and modify homes in the Sims style. We have seen some other games like a more modern House Flipper coming out that allows you to quickly flip apartments and whatnot, renovate and remarket, either for sale or for rent. So, but I prefer these types of games with a lot of assets and the ability to quickly throw something together, which doesn't take all the time in the world. Interesting with this sliding glass door, I was trying to get it exactly where I wanted to put it on the kind of where the stone is on the house. But again, weird to see the exterior stone being on the outside, but not the inside. At least that's how it worked for the glass when we put it on the outside. So I was assuming that the stone, it seems to be more like a paint job. So even the glass is a paint job, meaning that you have to put it on both sides for it to be see-through rather than being a wall. So with the stone being on the outside facing the garden, the inside can then be painted a different color rather than being like a brick that's a load-bearing wall that would be on both sides, or it could be painted over on one side or the other. The game does a great job under the paint tab of allowing you to easily paint the doors and the windows too. I did mention before about the drywall, but in this case it's actually quite nice for the ability to just paint like, for example, the frame and then the door itself. And so everything can kind of be painted to, you know, if you wanted like a white trim but maybe a darker colored door, like a gray door, or maybe a more dark hardwood door, you can kind of make it look a little more believable. And you can mix and match rather than going with what The Sims, for example, determined for you. I like their options, but I always feel like I could have more. Okay, so we can open our door here and walk right through. The white doors here are going to be replaced, so we're getting ready to take all these white doors out and remove them and add different styles of doors, maybe something more exterior wood-like. That one door looked a little bit too much to be an interior door, so it's time to get rid of that and try to see some more doors that would be better for exterior. There's quite a lot of large doors with lighting. There's quite a lot of double doors, and yeah, that one I think I think I've even seen this style in The Sims many times. I like that. I feel like that's a good mix of wood and window without being too much window and without being too much wood. I would prefer to be able to customize those doors even more, but that's not too bad. All right, we'll get rid of the door in the back too. That's got to go. I like the patio stone in the back, the you know, the steps that lead to the back of the house, and we'll be able to put some more railing down to kind of even that up a little bit. But I would like to extend this in the back and put like a, you know, picnic table back there with a it's like a umbrella, and then, you know, maybe like a pond and another gazebo out there, and then we can go outside in the rain. And of course, the greenhouse is also a good room to be able to go out all year round, even in the winter, if this were in the American Northwest or something. All right, so the biggest struggle of the game is right here with these pillars. I've noticed that it seems best to be able to, I don't know why, but it seems like you need to be able to, you might notice this later when we're painting the windows, when you select an item sometimes for painting, or in this case for the pillars, it's very picky about getting it directly in a corner if there's something above it. So what I'm trying to do here is just add a support beam to the loft up above, and it looks like we can place it with a few of them, but not all of them. So in other words, we're trying to just place down a nice looking support pillar. So we're trying to find first a style that's appropriate, and once we find one, in this case the concrete pillar that we'll put down, it's very difficult to get it into the edge. So there's a few refinements that are needed to the controls on that, but I really like how the materials and such look. It's funny, the floor looks very unfinished with all the nails and stuff down. I guess that's your subflooring where you would put linoleum or tiling or carpet on top of, but I would much rather prefer a hardwood floor in most of the house. Maybe in the living room some carpet, most of the house it would be wood, and then upstairs it would probably be wood as well. And it probably would be a good idea. Tiling, of course, for the bathroom. But you can see we're running out of space quickly. Even if I filled the second floor to the brim with rooms, I think I would really only have enough room for maybe 3 bedrooms. Rather, 2 bedrooms and then 1 bathroom. And then maybe another bedroom somewhere else, smaller. But the stairwells will have a good storage space, and you can see now we finally put the pillar under. Trying to find a good spot to actually put more pillars, but it's kind of an investment of space that just seems a little unnecessary. So we'll put another pillar by the stairs and use that for storage. Really like the way that stairwell looks too. It looks very, very, very expensive, very like modern, very minimalistic. Nice though, because then you can be able to see through all of that. It doesn't take up too much space. It keeps it with the open floor plan for the loft. Okay, nice. We got some railing for the backyard. Very good. Hoping to see some other options like basements. Hoping to see some swimming pools. There's also options for the garage, as you've seen, and they show you that, so it is something that we could actually put onto the side of the house. Throw a garage onto where the stairs are, and I hope that in this game that your guests or your renters or your home occupants would be able to actually drive the car. We'll have to see how, in comparison to The Sims, it allows your people to function too, because once you build a house, it is interesting to see how the people get along in it for a little while, until you get bored and want to start again with another loft or another smaller home. I do like building vertically. In these games, it's always a good idea to try to maximize the storage above. Tiny Homes DLC for The Sims is good for that. Lots of nice windows and stuff here too for the verticality. And we're going to have to decide to hold off on these windows, but we will put this window on the quote-unquote second floor. Yeah, that's going to be a nice window to bring in a lot of light. In comparison, I'd like to put the door up there, but I'm not sure if we can get it to work with all the railing. It might look a little too much. Also kind of weird that the second story could have a garden up on top that's even bigger than like the first story of the interior of the house. A lot of space up there on top of that garden. Even more than the living room and the kitchen combined. So another easy thing to do is to paint these shutters. The shutters, in addition to the frames, can be painted, and the walls behind. So even the siding can be painted too. So if you're trying to go for like a little white house with like a nice little red shed, you can paint. If you like the same style of siding, it's very easy to paint it with any color, really. Again, sometimes in The Sims you got to choose from a not so much limited, but definitely more limited than this game level of colors. This is where this pretty much allows you to mix and match anything. And so if you want to go for all of shutters or something, you can definitely do that too. So right now I'm painting all the shutters. They seem to be a perfect match, but again with that sun, it is hard to tell. And we'll go inside the house a few times too, where the blazing sun will actually make things look much different. You kind of have to pay attention too, because the sun in this game, if you paint the side of the house where the sun is on red, pure red, it'll look pink, and then the opposite side of the house will look dark red, and the either side of the house will look like it's just standard red. So it's kind of hard to keep track of, to make sure everything's, you know, like if you're trying to copy another color, it's just something to be aware of. And I believe we can also paint the banners and the railing. Very cool stuff. I think there's even decorative trim that we can put on the patio. So if we ever want to add some decorative trim, that's going to be an easy thing to do, and make it look nice too. And I really would like to see if there was a score for the homes. I see in the upper right corner there's a question mark and the exclamation point, which could tell us more about the home, things that it's lacking, or maybe some extra features of the home that set it apart. You know, like for example, just basic information like square footage, and maybe how many stories that it counts, or how many rooms that it counts too. There might be a way to do that. Damn fine little builder though, with lots of options. That's a problem though. Those some of those windows are really big, and sometimes it's hard to find a window big enough. But they're so big where it's like it's almost too much for that for an entire wall. Yet a little smaller, it would be definitely a good fit for maybe putting two of them together, or one on top of the other. I'm going to try to go for that over on the side, though. We have some nice vertical windows. So we'll pop those in on the side, and there they go. Very nice. And we'll consider doing it on the other side, but not so much a good idea. All right. Well, we have to paint the interior, so we're going to find out about that plastering. So once we kind of switch here, we're going to walk around the house and take a look at the windows. The exterior, I think, is good. We're pretty good on the exterior. And the interior is looking good too in terms of the design. So it's a nice open space to paint with light colors. And we've got our stairwell here too, which is really nice to be able to walk up there. Very, very slick. Okay. So back into build mode. Very nice to be able to switch between that too. I wish that was a easier option in The Sims, to be able to just kind of walk for yourself. But it's part of the immersion to try to create characters who live within your creation. Everything is your creation. Your people and your house are all of your creation. Here it's mostly about the house, and I think the detachment is that your people that you make, or rather the houses you make, will go for the people. It's all important for giving them a place to live and be happy. Nice organization tools at the bottom though. Nice tabs to be able to jump back to a previous tab. If you are in the exterior wall section, you want to jump back to just regular walls, you can do that. And lots of wallpaper, and lots of things to choose for colors too. Again, pretty much any color is up for grabs, so if you want to paint a room hot pink, you can definitely do it if they're not already pre-selected. So you can see the walls here. They're yellow highlighted as if like they were being selected, but no, that's actually me trying to paint those. That's crazy. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff coming in now for all of the different types of... Yeah, look at that. All the different types of... Love that. I love that tiling. The texturing is really cool. It would be nice to do like a red tiling there too, just to mix things up a bit. Have like a red tile on the wall. Yeah, we got a lot more of the plaster coming in now too, which I'm going to probably... The plaster color itself is white enough, but might be nice to paint on top of that too, to remove any sort of weird texturing. But as you can see, it's like really bright in the house too. Like the sun is just like pounding right in. It's would be nice to be able to make it nighttime and then use artificial lighting just to see what it's like in the house in the evenings. You know, at times where the sun is probably not directly hitting the house. Oh, the lighting looks really nice though. I mean, it's quite washed out, but I like I like all the natural lighting in the house. The smaller windows do a very good job of lighting up the house. And The Sims always have trouble with natural light because I typically have an open floor plan, but you know, the houses are usually a little longer, and so some of the corners, you know, if you don't have a window there, it can be too far for the sun to stretch to get over there. But we'll do some nice railing up here. A couple of good railing options. A lot of good basic stuff here. I think I'm really liking the foundation for a lot of this stuff. Like this is a starting point for even more competitors to The Sims, and I think that we need more just house building games too, where again, House Flipper did a good job of proving that, you know, it's not just necessary for somebody to like design a house in this weird third-person top-down mode and have somebody live there, but you can just temporarily drop in, clean up a house, do some remodeling, and move on to the next thing, which is, of course, house flipping. And it'd be cool to do that. There was a DLC for The Sims that did that as well. And, yeah, the house definitely makes me want to do some more renovations in other games and to see more builders like this. And more flipping where we can do more hands-on manipulation of a home and to affect things like natural light and maybe even do outlets and wiring and things like that. It'd be really cool to do some more advanced stuff like that. Although, skipping out on all that, you know, that's kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff when, you know, once you've made a kitchen and designed it, you just need to do the piping for it and such. So it wouldn't be anything more than just clicking from the, you know, from the street to the, maybe the well, or the, not the well, but the hot water heater and maybe a reserve tank, and then right up to the house here. Okay, so we're definitely seeing some of our first look at the furniture. I like the way some of that looks. These are the cabinets, of course, and I hope we can actually paint the countertops and such too. Didn't get a chance to check it out, but yeah, we can make the kitchen sinks a little taller and a little smaller. Kind of cool though. That means you could make maybe like a guest bathroom with a little shorter, maybe like a small sink to make it look like it's, you know, in a back closet that's a little smaller, like for older homes. And then, yeah, you're gonna get irritated here in a second. Check this out. It's quite difficult to actually match up the sizes once we toy around with things. So they'll be off just slightly. Also, I don't see a grid snap for this game yet. I believe holding shift and putting something up against the wall will try to make it go up against the wall like the cabinets here. But as for some of these items, they seem to push up against the wall a little bit differently. So they're all different sizes, so it's going to be hard to flush them up next to each other. But now it's time to pick out some windows, though, now that we got the countertops down. It's always the last thing I want to do. Always the last thing to do is to put a nice window in front of the sink, so that way you can look out and see the outside or the street, or maybe if you have it facing the back of the house, you can see out at the porch and some trees and such out there. The windows would be much better if we could adjust those sizes. Struggling here to find a good one, but we will find a good window or two that works out. There will be a little bit of a gap here, but again, it's kind of the same as it is in The Sims when you're making those windows too. And I'm thinking of Paralives now, wondering if we're going to see some curved walls. Didn't see an option for curved walls or angle walls, but that doesn't mean they're not there. But again, this is more about just a first look at the game and considering that you download the demo for yourself, and also check out our live stream of it too, because, you know, we're going to be discovering some more things together as we kind of delve more deeper into all the textures and all of the colors and such, that we, you know, what can we paint, what can't we, what are the limitations, and where we can push things from here. Now, it's definitely an interesting thing to try to take a game like this and then also design a house here and then import it into The Sims. Quite easy to actually do floor plans from other games and such and redesign famous apartment like Seinfeld, for example, or The Simpsons house, that type of thing. So yeah, look at that gap. Right. Well, not bad for a first look at the house. We'll take a more detailed look.
This is looking real nice here. Now I'm liking this little greenhouse that we designed. All the windows are looking good. An interesting system to design inside and out with options for a lot of detail. As we mentioned before, the countertops that can be adjusted larger and smaller. And not bad for an area with a loft. This seemed like it'd be a ton of space for like a two-story home, but considering the fact that we've kind of gone into first person, you realize, wait a minute, there's a lot of space, a lot of places to put rooms here, and not a lot of space to do it, actually. You think about it and you're like, oh yeah, we could definitely put 2 bedrooms up here, and yeah, absolutely we could if we cram everything together. But also pretty sensible with the space too, in terms of like the kitchen and whatnot. Nice that we can adjust the countertops, and ones down below in the comment section if that absolutely infuriates you. But that's all right. We'll adjust things a little bit more. I think we can also adjust the time of day too to change the lighting. So we can make the light come in from a different time and see how the lighting is throughout the different times of the day. But the doors look great. Love the options for all the different types of, you know, the plaster and such. So we can actually paint the walls too. So we can go with a few different colors for the living room area here. Maybe the dining room area here in front of the window. And then, of course, maybe a little decorative area here. Maybe some small storage under the stairs and whatnot. And a bedroom up here. And also room for a bathroom too. There's quite a bit of room for maybe another bathroom or an only bathroom somewhere in the corner. But yeah, we can tuck all that in. Interesting, much different than building in The Sims, that's for sure, of course, with options for roads and driveways and such. But now I understand why The Sims doesn't really dedicate a lot of space towards putting in a car or garage, because of course a lot of that you want for a nice little home. Well, this looks good. For a first look, I think this is fantastic with all the different materials and building options, railings, and different types of roofing tiles and things that we can add to the sides, like gutters. And, of course, even the ability to change the paintings of the windows. Now, this seems to be a little bit more like Planet Coaster or Planet Zoo with the free build mode. This actually counts on you a little bit more to figure out the design yourself. And, yeah, there's some definite windows and things that we can move around to be a little bit more believable. But instead of, you know, selecting every item and selecting individual colors for the item, you can kind of go to a whole color area and paint everything individually. It's quite impressive, actually. And I like what I see here so far. Alright, guys. Well, again, if you want to download this one, of course, jump on Steam and download it for the demo until, I think, October 7th. Lots of good fun here and a lot of potential. And I'm really looking forward to more builder games on the channel. So if you are too, make sure you leave a like, subscribe on the way out, and thanks again for all your support. You guys are awesome and amazing, and just love all the support. So thanks for being here. Have a fantastic afternoon, good evening, good night. This is just a brief first look. So again, if you want to see the game in more detail, jump into the live stream, which should be going live immediately, or you can watch it afterwards for more details on lighting, interior, and much more. Lots to cover, simply just not enough time. So I hope to see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. More homes to build and many more things to build with coming soon. See you next time. Goodbye.